What's up, everyone? It's Karina, educator with Kenra Professional, and I cannot wait to show you how I created this beautiful candlelit, just really expensive brunette look. So stick around so you can see the process. For sectioning today, we have a simple 4-quadrant sectioning. So we're gonna start in the middle based on where she parts her hair, continue that down into the nape area here, and then each section on the side, we're gonna start from that apex down into the back of the ear here. So super simple 4-quadrant sectioning here. I'm going to be taking horizontal subsections throughout this entire application. Each subsection, I'm going to backcomb the root area. I'm going for more of a sombre ombre type of application here. Basically want to keep her a little rooty in my end result. So I'm definitely wanting to lay off of that root area. Another reason why is because that's virgin hair, so I don't want to put any of this formulation on that part of the canvas. I'm really just trying to decolorize and remove some of that old black color that she has in through her mids and ends. So we're gonna go ahead and work with cotton to help keep things a little bit separate here. So I'm gonna lay a cotton on each section as I work through, taking the horizontal subsections the entire way, typically about a ½ an inch in thickness, because she does have pretty dense hair and her texture is a little more on the coarse side. It's a little bit harder to lift coarse hair. So you'll notice as I'm working through each of my subsections, I chose to use cotton for this application because the end goal is more of a brunette. I'm not trying to create a blonde end result. I'm really focusing on decolorizing with this service and this process. So allowing the hair to sit in open air is gonna give more controlled lift. It's not gonna over lift her hair to a level that I don't want. So I really am just using cotton to keep everything separated as I work through this application. Sometimes if you do want a little more lift through this process and you do use foil, it'll just generate more lift and more heat. So I'm taking a more controlled approach because again, I don't want to lift her past a level 6 because I'm going for a brunette end result here. My formula today, I'm using our Restorative shampoo with a little bit of our Restorative Reconstructor, which is a conditioner. I have my no ammonia lightener as well as developer all mixed up in one bowl. Reason being is this is going to allow the hair to specifically decolorize. So decolorizing the hair is the process of removing old color off of the hair. I'm not necessarily trying to lift her hair for level right now. I'm really just trying to expose her underlying pigment, what's underneath all of this color, to keep her at a nice brunette tone. So anytime we're going from dark color to dark color that's been colored with maybe box color or professional color, anything that's lower than like a level 3, you want to decolorize it first so you know that you're working on a clean canvas to get a nice neutral, sometimes warm brunette end result. If you go in with just lightener and developer, it's going to really decolorize the hair at a much faster rate, but it's also going to you run the risk of overlifting past that level 6 that we need for a brunette. So that's why I chose this formulation and this approach, because it's going to help me to have some control and allow me to work through the entire head without pretty much overlifting and going blonde. You'll notice as I am applying my product to each subsection here, I'm doing that back combing. Reason being is we're gonna go in with color to cover some of the gray later, keeping her more at a shadow root. And then I'm gonna feather the product upward towards that tease so that we get a soft diffusion and blend. And you can also use your fingers if you want to really just help melt the product in an upward motion to prevent any hard lines of demarcation. So when we go back to tone and cover her root later, we'll have a bit more of a seamless blend during that step. I'm moving to the front quadrants, where I'm gonna apply the same formula. I'm also gonna do the same technique and application. I think the biggest thing to really note with this application is to start in the back. The hair is gonna have more color, more length typically, and overall just be a bit darker going through the back. So we wanna start there because this is a bit more of a slower process. We want that control. And then as we know, sometimes around the hairline, the hairs are a bit finer. So it could definitely lift a little bit faster in those front quadrants. So I prefer to start in the back. Another good reason is if it does finish processing, you can always rinse it out a lot easier than rinsing out the front first. So just some little tidbits to keep in mind when you're working through the application. As I'm working my way to the top here, you can see my subsections are getting a little bit wide. So don't hesitate at all to split these in half to where you can have more control over what's going on with each subsection. So I'm doing just that. I want to make sure that I get a nice diffusion. So I want to make sure my back combing in each of these little sections is intentional and it really does what I need it to do, so diffuse the hair, especially because we're working with this hair that's going to fall around the face. So feel free to split those wider subsections in half so you get a nice back comb, and then you can go in and apply your product to the mid lengths and the ends. I completed my front quadrant, so I'm going to move to the other side. Again, taking my horizontal subsections, getting a nice back comb at that root area for diffusion, and then applying my formula through the mid lengths and ends, nice and saturated. Also, when we're working with this formulation here, what it's really allowing us to do is not overlift her hair. I know there have been times in my career where I have went in with straight lightener and developer, and I've overlifted the hair to a blonde, to a yellow. And what happens when we do that is it's really hard for the client to maintain the brown longevity in the hair because we've removed all the pigment out of the hair. So with this type of approach, you're still removing color but allowing extra red and orange pigments to live in the hairs for longevity, also for that integrity to remain intact in the hair, so that when you go over with your brown color, you will experience less fading, and overall will just help to support your tonality, and you can get that nice, rich, expensive brown that we're looking for, not a washed out kind of flat brown. We've made it to our last subsection, so I'm finishing up with this last bit of hair here, and then I'm going to spin her around and show you guys the progress that her hair has made since we started this entire application. After I was done with applying the entire application, I went in and mixed up a fresh bowl of product, removed my cotton, and I'm reapplying my formula through each section to get it nice and saturated. You guys can already see how beautifully it's lifting. Again, this is really gonna help just keep that product active, but we're gonna reapply through the mids a lot because we don't have a lot of heat through those mid lengths. The ends tend to lift quite faster. So I really wanna go in and reapply through the mids, and then we're gonna let that sit for 20 to 30 minutes to finish processing and getting to that nice red orange tone that we're looking for. So we'll be back, guys. All right, so we're back. Her hair has processed. It lifted to a beautiful level 6 like we were aiming for. So now that I have shampooed her first formula out here, we're gonna go ahead and tackle her root area with our Studio Stylist Express. I have her sectioned off in another simple 4-quadrant sectioning here. The only thing that I like to do a little bit different when I'm applying the base color, especially for gray coverage, is I like to do more of an angled part to help lay my sections away from the face as I start working towards the front here. So really just from that apex to the front of the ear versus coming straight down behind the ear. It's just gonna give you more control and hopefully help prevent you from staining the hairline and just have a cleaner application as you work towards the front. And because I am working with 10-minute color, I do also like to start in the back because it processes a little bit faster, and if you need to rinse it out, you can always rinse this area out a lot faster and a bit more efficiently than trying to rinse the front out first. So we're gonna start from the back. Because we're working with a bit of a melted look, I'm gonna go in and intentionally do the root coverage first, and then we'll go back in before we go to the front quadrants and kind of melt this product down so that we can have a nice blend from her retouch, regrowth into these beautiful ends that we just lifted. So I'm taking diagonal back subsections to help me get through the application faster. And then as I work down, sometimes I like to pivot into more vertical and through the nape here. It's really just to save time on application. I'm using our Studio Stylist Express 3N. My model here was using a 1N. So this is just enough to soften the contrast just a little bit as we keep going lighter with her, but it's definitely not gonna be as dark as a 1N or like a blue black. Our Studio Stylist Express does have a bit more of a heavier pigment load to it, so to prevent any heavy saturation and lines of demarcation, I really try my hardest to place it where I want it and not anywhere else, to prevent any spotting or just unnecessary dark color in the areas that I don't want to see it. And then now we're gonna go back in, taking larger horizontal sections before we move to the front quadrant, and just use our finger to melt down our product a little bit, just to make sure we have a nice blend. So you can use the back of your guest's head to really help give you some nice tension, as well as really press and melt that color in and keep it a bit more feathered and just overall blended downward. And just really visually look at if I see any little lines of demarcation that I need to blend out. I can do that with our root color. The other thing about doing it this way is we're gonna have more processing time through the roots, so the roots are gonna be a bit more opaque and have a bit more saturation, and then kind of feather off into the melt, because they'll be on a little less time. I like to outline the perimeter of each quadrant for control, and it kind of helps it stay in one place. You don't have to use a clip, so it helps you just go a little quicker. And then I'm going to take diagonal forward subsections. Naturally, it's going to push the hair backwards so that you can really just crank through this and be a bit cleaner with your application. As I begin to reach the top, I don't mind that some of the hairs around her hairline aren't necessarily getting color on them right now. I think that the front hairline, you have to be very meticulous with your placement and your application, so I'm going to do that at the end here in just a second. So you can see all these little hairs that kind of stayed out. So I'll just take the corner of my brush here and gently just brush the product upward and off of the face to get any little strays. with the hopes of preventing any staining around the hairline. Just keep it nice and clean. One thing that you can keep in mind when you're working on your own clients, if you want to, you know, place your lighter color higher, you don't necessarily have to melt down as far if you don't want to. I'm keeping her a little bit rootier today, so I don't mind dragging it out a little bit. But if you wanted to see your lighter color higher, then you could just, you know, melt down a little bit less than what I'm doing today. So this is a 10-minute color, you guys, so we're gonna let this process for 10 minutes and we'll meet you at the bowl. We'll rinse this out and do a toner. For her shampoo today, I'm going to be using our Color Protect shampoo. I really love this post-color services because it's going to maintain vibrancy until her next service, as well as lock in those color molecules and dyes because it does sit at the appropriate pH. So gotta love this to help with preserving color in between services. I'm going in with a second shampoo to really make sure that I can really cleanse her scalp from the color that we just did. Our 10-minute color does tend to have a bit more of a faster, heavier deposit, so always going in with 2 shampoos is going to help to remove all that color from the scalp and overall have a clean canvas to style on. Now that we finished shampooing my model's hair twice, we're gonna go in with the next step, which is gonna be an all over tone. So you guys can see her hair lifted nicely because we did more of a controlled lift. We didn't generate too much warmth here. So really what I'm gonna do with my formula is go in and refine this so that it's not, you know, it's gonna give it a bit of a coolness, a cool brown. We want more of that cool brunette, not a warm coppery one. So we're gonna go in with an ounce of clear and then 1/4 ounce of green blue rapid toner. And because this process is pretty quickly, we're gonna go ahead and do more of a all over application, really just apply that on the hair here and massage it in, similar to how we would do a shampoo. Reason being is we set the foundation of the placement when we lightened her hair, so we really don't need to worry about the placement as much. We really just need to get saturation. When we're working with rapid toners, you also want to get this on pretty quick. The moment you mix this product, the oxidation process starts, so you really want to make sure that you apply it as soon as it's mixed. And in this case, I want to be very mindful of how much I let deposit over this color that we lifted out of her hair. But that's also why I did use a lot of clear in the formula, so it allowed me a little bit more control and I don't over deposit the green blue tone on her hair. If that were to happen, it would pretty much add too much depth and take away all of the lift that we just created in the initial process. So I'm gonna use my fingers to really rake through the product. Have her tilt up for a second. Make sure you get the back. Sometimes the hair is a little shorter in the nape and you might not get those hairs around the neck. So I'm gonna make sure I apply my toner and formula all through using my fingers to rake, and then periodically you can really just check the progress. Looks really pretty. My rule of thumb is if you can see it very distinctly as far as the brightness goes, when the hair is damp or wet, you probably need to let this sit a little longer. You don't really want to see the vibrancy when it's wet. You want to see it go darker, so when you dry it, it's perfect. So I'm going to let this process for no longer than 5 minutes. Going to watch it throughout that time, just constantly spreading apart the hair and really just making sure it reaches the depth that I need it to reach. All right, everyone, so we completed Leslie's color. This is what we're looking for when we're going for more of an expensive brunette. You do not want to see any warmth, any orange, any red. It looks nice and brunette right now. So we're gonna go ahead and get her styled. So we're gonna go in with the Luxe One leave-in here to begin with. So what we wanna do is spray this in the palm of your hand first, emulsify and then apply this through the mid-lengths and ends here. This is gonna give us slip, shine, and really gonna help soften her hair through this blow dry. Next, we're gonna go in with our blow dry spray. Love this product, you guys. This one is gonna do a really good job at speeding up my blow dry time. Also gonna add thermal protection, give us frizz control, slip, shine, all the good stuff. And then lastly, we're gonna go in with our volume mist. So this one is gonna give you a very lightweight volume to the hair. Has a hold of a 2, so nothing that's gonna get too stiff or unbrushable here. So we're gonna apply this damp hair and proceed with our blow dry. All right, so we're making our way through our styling here. I've went ahead and curled my model's hair, really just using 1 1/4 inch curling iron. I curled everything going one direction this way, and then on this side I curled it so they meet in the middle. We're going for more of like a uniform wave here. So I'm gonna do the same thing and finish off these last couple of pieces. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my brush to comb out her hair here. So you can see by curling it that way, it was nice and uniform curls. And I love this brush that I'm using. It has both like plastic and the boar bristles in it, so it helps to smooth out her end result. I'm going to apply, to finish off this look, a little bit of our silkening gloss to just add shine, separation. Do about a pump here. I like to wash my hands with the product so I can rake my fingers through and really just help add a little bit of separation and a lot of shine. So you guys, I hope you love this look as much as I do. I really love the way this came out. Very beautiful, rich, expensive brown. If you enjoyed videos like this, click here and also subscribe to Kenra Professional YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this look as much as I did, and we'll see you on the next one.